Good morning, everybody. Sitting out in the garage to do this video today. We don't smoke in the house. Um, so, there's a lot I want to discuss today. We can start from the beginning for those who aren't aware, but on February 13, 2017, Liberty German and Abigail Williams went on a walk at the Monon High Bridge trails in Indiana. And they went out there for a walk, and sadly, they were murdered. Um, Here it is, almost. Hi there, Cryptex. So it's, almost 6 years later. Let me get some chat here. Trying to figure out how to work this thing. Hi, Cryptex. Anyway, so going back from the beginning, these girls, they went for a walk and they were murdered. And here we are almost 6 years later, and Richard Allen was arrested. Kegan Kline was arrested. So there's some things I want to talk about today. A lot of the public is up in arms because the probable cause hasn't been released. And of course, it's in front of the judge now for the judge to determine whether or not it should be released. Now, when going back through our videos, Belinda and I had discussed many times that we believe this was, probably child porn or snuff film, something of that nature. Something going on there, trafficking. Now, if you go back and look at what they had discussed with Kegan Kline in his interrogation, about the bank accounts and who was putting money into those bank accounts and the Dropbox and, who had access to his phones, it all kind of makes sense. So Kegan Kline had this Dropbox. Well, what exactly was going in that Dropbox? And Belinda and I have long said, we believe it was some sort of child pornography or snuff film or something like that. After all, that's what he was charged with. I mean, Kegan was charged with, child pornography and procuring images and so on and so forth. However, there were other people sharing that same Dropbox, and they had mentioned that in his interrogation. The police had mentioned that when they were interrogating Kegan Kline. So then, what a lot of people don't understand is in the Dropbox, if there's multiple people using it, they have to be able to figure out who's using that. Now, Richard Allen was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and the police have come out and said, oh, yeah, he's bridge guy. So I just want to share, I just want to share something for a second. Computer went crazy for just a minute while my phone did. So he was charged with a specific type of felony murder. He wasn't charged with premeditated murder. And if you look under the Indiana state laws and look at what it says about his specific type of murder, Long Crime posted the exact charges. Felony murder, it wasn't premeditated first-degree murder. If you go back and look at those specific type of charges under the Indiana statutes, it's for people who have committed murder in the process of a felony of possibly rape, human trafficking, sex trafficking, all these other things, but it mainly deals with sex trafficking. So if you connect Kegan with Richard Allen in that Dropbox and say, oh, well, the police now have to figure out who exactly was dipping into that Dropbox and who those IP addresses belong to, who the phones belong to, et cetera, et cetera. It's not difficult to put the puzzle pieces together. So when the prosecution came out and said that Nicholas McClellan said that he believes that someone else is involved. Well, yeah, there are other people involved. Was Richard Allen actually the person who committed the murders? They're putting him at the scene. In fact, he put himself at the scene. He claimed he was out there to a forestry person on the bridge on the day the girls were murdered. So he put himself there. Was that him establishing an alibi the very first day? So the chat's on if anybody wants to ask any questions, but my thoughts on this, the police, if they're still investigating, which they said they are, they claim, this is an ongoing investigation and they believe that others are involved. Well, yeah, there's other people and probably dipping into that Dropbox, looking at these pictures, finding these things, or participating. They have information that someone else has participated in this crime. So what do the police have to do? Well, they have to figure out how to capture the other people that are involved in the homicides of these two girls. Yeah. People have to give the police time to do their jobs, and it takes a long time. There are strategies behind their jobs, Now, for Richard Allen's attorney to come out and say, oh, well, he said he didn't do it, so I believe him. That's an old lawyer trick, okay? He said their evidence is weak. It doesn't directly point at him. No, it points to him in the Dropbox. It points to him as, looking at whatever or participating in it. We don't know what kind of video evidence or photographic evidence they have. We don't know what was in that Dropbox. So if he's committing felony murder and he was involved in the participation of these girls' murders, then obviously someone else was involved. So there you have it. A lot of people are upset that a lot of people are upset that the probable cause has not been released, or the full video has not been released to the public, or what exactly happened to these girls. And that, the public is chomping at the bit for information. Let police do their job, please. Because there are other predators. Obviously, McClellan said, Richard Allen isn't the only one. There's other predators they're trying to catch here. And I think Belinda and I have covered this topic so much, our videos aren't spread widely like, other people's, and that's okay. But the public needs to be aware that this is not about us. It's about these victims, it's about their families, and it's about getting justice for these girls. So you have to ask yourself, where are your priorities? Our priority is not to make cash or exploit these children. Our priority is for justice and for getting information out to the public that's definitely not going to hurt an investigation. And if the judge seals this, so be it. Let it go. But when putting all the puzzle pieces together, you look at Kegan Kline, you look at Richard Allen, you look at the charges, you look at everything that goes into the investigation, and you got to tell yourself, well, why is it what it is? And yeah, so in my opinion, with McClellan coming out and saying that, there's someone else involved, the people have to let it go. So anyway, I just wanted to come in and touch on that bit for a minute. I'll come back later. I said I was going to put up a picture of my original sketch. I have the sketch. I just don't have access to my computer right now. So I see there's a few people watching right now. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add? Anything that I'm forgetting to mention? Just let me know. If not, I guess we're done for today for now. I'll come back on later when I have more time. Well, I guess that's it. Now I'm back again. Sorry. This thing keeps cutting in and out because I'm out in the garage. I'm not in my house. So anyway, when do you think the PCA decitation will be taken? I mean, release, not releasing. What PCA? I'm not familiar with that term. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm old, so. I don't know what you're saying there. It might. Oh, probable cause affidavit. Sorry, I'm not good with. I'm not good with letters and stuff like that. I think what they're going to do is, like the prosecutor and the defense both agreed that for the witnesses, they're going to redact their names and stuff. It'll probably be released next week, hopefully, but again, it's up to the judge. This judge is taking everything into consideration. The press have put in petitions to have public knowledge released, so they have to consider the investigation first. They have to consider, how much is this going to harm the investigation? There's still somebody else out there. The prosecutor came out and said it. And I would prefer that they catch everybody involved, not just the one that, I mean, they charged him with felony murder. So is there someone else out there that they can charge with first-degree murder? They're saying, Doug Carter came out and said that Richard Allen is bridge guy. Well, okay, he's bridge guy. He had a camera on his hat. Was he the one out there filming? If in fact it is a snuff film, was he the one out there filming? Probably. I can't say for sure because he's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But I find it awfully curious that they hiked his ass out in public, even though he had a Kevlar vest on. They put him in front of the public. Was that a scare tactic for Richard Allen? Don't know. I mean, if he knows somebody else is involved and they're putting him on public notice, strutting him out there in front of everybody, unlike Kegan, Kline. I mean, they've hit him for a while. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll cooperate. Maybe he'll say, okay, I was involved in this, but I didn't specifically do it. Yeah, Cryptex asks, what is your feelings about Tony Kline? I haven't ruled him out. I don't know if he's involved in this or not. I'm not going to give my personal thoughts on it, other than to say that I haven't ruled him out. It's just like Ron Logan, with Ron Logan, did I ever see him as bridge guy? No. I think he was too old, but does that mean he wasn't involved in this? Is there a cult or something going on up there where these child molesters are sharing images and sharing rituals even? I mean, they said that the crimes were non-secular. Was it some sort of ceremony of some sort of cult? Or was it just them, out there making child porn and snuff films and sharing them amongst each other? That remains to be seen, and who all was involved in that, I don't know. It's a good question. I can't say one way or another about Tony Kline. Would I put it past him? No. Would I put it past Ron Logan? No. But Kegan, Kline, and Richard Allen, so far, they've been charged, and that's where we're at in the investigation. Now, with Nicholas McClellan saying that there's somebody else involved, obviously, everything still needs to stay sealed. because it may jeopardize their investigation. And I think the public needs to be okay with that. I would rather put a chomo behind bars than to let him walk because of something that may or may not be harmful to the case. And I think that's where we're at now. I think that's where the public needs to remain. And for the witness safety and protection, you said, thanks. Do you think St. Valentine's Day is relevant somehow? Well, the festival of Lupercalia, in satanic ritual sometimes demands sacrifice, human sacrifice. I talked about that in a prior video, and also with Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook, their deaths in Evansdale, Iowa, was also on a satanic feast day. So, yeah, I don't have the crime scene. I can't answer that for sure. It may be connected, it may not. That's a 50-50 at this point. Is there anything else anybody wants to ask, or do you have any more questions? I'm sorry about the video cutting in and out. Apologize for that. And Belinda's still not with me. You're welcome, Cryptex. Said thanks, great live. You're welcome. Oh, well, thank you. Cryptex says, I love your input. Thank you very much. My interest and Belinda's interest, Belinda having a child that was murdered, our interest is not to make money off of this. It is for the justice for these two girls and their families, and that's it. And that's where the public needs to stay. They need to think about what is their interest in this case? Why are they so obsessed with it? What are they getting out of it? I see these YouTubers, and this one YouTube came down on psychic input, and there are a lot of cuckoo psychics out there. I wouldn't say I'm one of them. I think my record in that department stands for itself. And I challenge this YouTuber who wants to go on the attack to, let me see you do a sketch of the perpetrator. Go ahead. We'll see what happens. I think what Belinda and I have talked about over the past 6 years, I hate to say it, but so far it appears that we were right. And tragically, nothing that we say is going to change it, but regardless of all that crap, it's up to law enforcement to handle this case. And law enforcement are paramount in this. And, if they're saying keeping it sealed is to their benefit, then that's what we need to do, period. Keep the names redacted, keep everything sealed, do what they got to do to catch whomever else is left, whoever else was dipping into that drop box, whoever else was involved in these crimes. They need to keep it sealed. And they especially need to keep the witnesses, their identity sealed if the public doesn't know, for the safety of themselves and so this trial can proceed. Why the public is so up in arms about them. So what? You find out 6 months from now or a year from now instead of today? If you've waited 6 years or almost 6 years, then you can wait a little bit longer. I think the integrity of the investigation should be first and foremost. And them catching the criminals is more important than what the public needs to know, period. I'm standing behind law enforcement on this one. Whatever they want to do, and they think that that's the most beneficial, then that's what they need to do. So is there anything else? I know I've rambled on a little bit about this, but if you go back and look at Richard Allen's behavior and, look at where he was working, I said in one of the psychic readings that Belinda and I did on this case, I see him outside of a storefront sweeping. And now look where he works. And he's catty corner to Carroll County Sheriff's. Doug Carter said he was right under their noses. I can't answer how long they knew about Richard Allen, um, or how long it took them to start looking into him because of the physical description they had a bridge guy. I can't answer that. I don't know. But anyway, they got him now. He's off the street and he's going on trial for murder. So look at his behaviors. I mean, the defense, of course, is going to say, oh, they don't have much. All they have is this Dropbox. You know that's what their defense is going to be. How do they know? And they're going to challenge the evidence. Of course, that's their job. But if he's innocent, why would he be dipping into that Dropbox? Just saying. He ain't innocent, in my opinion. And I could say innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but they didn't charge him for no reason. They have evidence. Now, whether or not it's the physical DNA, CSI bullshit that you see on TV, that's another story. But if they have his IP address and they're able to trace any evidence or phones to him, then all of that needs to be weighted. Anyway, people that dip into child porn drop boxes or chomo drop boxes or share images, they're not innocent people. All right, folks. Well, that's all I have for today. I'm going to have to run to the bathroom, so TMI, but it is what it is. I hope you folks have a blessed day, and I'm going to take off for now, but just go back and look at the charges. Long Crime posted them, and then look up the Indiana statutes. He's charged with felony murder because somebody else was involved. And Kegan Kline, they dropped a bunch of charges and redacted a bunch of charges, changed a bunch of charges. It says, police stated KK didn't kill the girls and everyone wants to include him. Okay, well, here's the thing. According to Kegan Kline's Snapchat, and I have the original Snapchat on my computer at my house, but according to his Snapchat, he was in contact with Libby. Everybody knows he had been grooming Liberty since December of that year. Libby's best friend came out and talked about how, her male best friend, came out and talked about how Libby wanted to meet this 19-year-old guy out at the bridge, asked him to go out to the bridge with him, and he couldn't go because he had to go somewhere with his dad. So he didn't end up going with the girls that day, and sadly they ended up murdered. So if Kegan Kline's grooming these girls and somebody else is dipping into that chat, this chat, how did this go? Okay, so the one chat where he asked Libby to meet him out there, he says something to the effect of, will you meet me out there? And she says, why? So I could be raped or something like that. And he says, well, I could kill you. Now, was that Kegan Kline or was that Richard Allen talking? I mean, who had access to his phones? Either way, he was involved. He knew what the hell was going on. He had his phones. He had the chats. He was also dipping into child porn. This is something Kegan Kline himself admitted. So, you know, I'm not there to sort out that data. That's for law enforcement, which is why they're the ones that charge him. They charge Kegan Kline, they charge Richard Allen. I don't care what somebody says. If they're saying Kegan Kline wasn't involved, that's bullshit because, yeah, he was. He was actually in contact with her under the Anthony Shots profile. And he had all those messages in his phones. So, you know, if they think that Kegan Kline's not involved, they're delusional. Now, was he there when the murders actually took place? I can't answer that. I don't know. Don't know. Did he set him up? I can't answer that. I don't know. But he was definitely involved. I mean, it was his phones. It was, you know, his Snapchat, his fake profile of Anthony Shots that got the girl set up in the first place. Did he set him up for someone else to go out there and do this thing? I don't have that answer. These are all the questions that people want answered, and, you know, until we get the information from the police and from the probable cause and from the actual trial, we're not going to know. But the bottom line is there's still somebody else, one or more people out there that still need to be arrested, and they need to get proof of those things. They need to get probable cause and proof in order to arrest these individuals. Being that they charged Richard Allen with felony murder doesn't necessarily... Yeah, I agree. His voice sounds just like Kegan Kline, but Richard Allen's voice, to me, sounds pretty close to a Bridge guy. And they're saying that he's Bridge guy. So, and they have more video. They have more, I'm sure they, did voice comparison. They may even have pictures of him on the bridge. They may have other things that we're not aware of. They may have other things that they downloaded from the Dropbox. So I'm sure they have logical reason. Doug Carter said he believes in the probable cause, and I believe Doug Carter. Now, back in the beginning, they were talking about how they think that he was connected somehow to Flora, to the Flora fires. I want to know if the signatures left at the crime scene connect the individual to the Flora fires. What were the signatures? And yeah, is there a connection there? Just like Evansdale. For me, I saw in the images the wood elements that I thought were strange, and I thought they were very similar in Evansdale. But again, is this person a serial? Is it a group of, individuals who've gotten away with this before? And that all remains to be seen. I don't know what evidence they have. Wish I did. So a lot of this is just conjecture. But if you look at Evansdale versus Delphi, yeah, Janice Nordness says several are involved. Yeah, Nicholas McClellan came out and said it. So if this is a group of individuals who are producing child porn and snuff films and they're trafficking this stuff, Richard Allen being right there at CVS, he could mass produce this without, if he's there and there's only people back in the pharmacy, he's the only cashier working or whatever before he's actually a farm tech. If he's mass producing this crap, how would they ever know? And they could have been... I find it ironic that Mark Redwine knew exactly about the Delphi case, and we know he's into some serious paraphilias. He killed his son, and then you got the child molester that lived across from Kegan Kline, the one that lived down from Kegan Kline. They were arrested, for child porn. I mean, is this from Abby and Libby's case? Were they peddling this stuff to their friends, to their local chomos, yeah. We don't know how far this investigation is going to go, but Belinda and I have talked about this a long time. Whatever the case is, the police need to be able to catch every last freaking one of them. They need to be able to do their jobs. And if that means they have to redact this information or seal this information so they can keep the public safe and keep other kids safe, then that's what you do. And I'm not, I know my followers, they want to do the right thing. I want justice. But at the same time, we're all curious. But getting these guys off the streets comes first. And, his attorneys, they're public defenders. They've got to do their jobs. Richard Allen's attorneys, they have to do their jobs. And they have to give them the best defense that they can possibly give him. So right now, the one attorney claimed that he didn't know who Kegan Kline was. And you're from the area and you don't know who Kegan Kline is. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does. I don't know. But they're going to do the standard defense. Oh, he said he's innocent, so that's what we have to go with. Well, by law, if he claims he's innocent, that's what they have to go with. It's kind of like a narcissist. You could put all the factual information in front of their face and they're going to deny it. Well, that's an attorney's job. is to try to make him look innocent, even if, I mean, if they know for a fact that he's not innocent, then they're supposed to, be forthcoming with that. Try to convince him of making a plea agreement or something. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but they're going to do standard lawyer stuff because they have to. They're bound by law as well. So he has a right to a good defense, and if you don't give him a good defense, then of course it can get overturned later. We don't want that to happen. So either way, Richard Allen, if he's dipping into that drop box and looking at child porn, and he was out there that day and they have evidence connecting him to it, he'll get found guilty. The question is, they charged him with felony murder, so who else was involved? And that becomes paramount in the case. Is there someone else they're going to be able to charge with first-degree murder? Not the one who filmed it, but the one who actually committed it. Was Kegan Kline out there? Was TK out there? Was JP out there? Was Gary Kurtz out there? I mean, there are some other people that I have in mind, and I can't mention their names for legal reasons, but I mean, all these people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, according to the law of the land. But anybody who's looking at child porn or, CSAM or whatever, no, they're not innocent. I don't feel sorry for any of them. Except for the fact that, they're going to hell. They don't realize it, but, and unless they accept God and repent, they're going to pay for their sins. I don't want to wish hell on anybody, but I'm not God and I can't play justice, so there's that. I say a lot of stuff about child molesters because I'm angry about it. Rope is cheap and reusable. But it's not my place to judge. It's God's place and it's the court's place. But just common sense tells you, if if they're looking at child porn, I mean, yeah, they're not innocent. His lawyer can say it all day long, doesn't mean it's true. It's kind of like saying Casey Anthony is innocent. Yeah, no. Is there anything else anyone has to add for now? Anything anyone would like to discuss? So just a short recap, if Richard Allen, Doug Carter said he's bridge guy. If Richard Allen was dipping into that drop box and they were sharing porn and there's some connection there, he was charged with felony murder, which includes kidnapping, rape, child trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, all these other things. The type that he was charged with, if you want to look it up, it's on Law and Crime. So I guess that's all I have for now. I'm going to get off of here this morning, but I am going to come back and post later my other psychic sketch that I did. I did a bunch of psychic sketches. I said from the very beginning I didn't want to work on this case because yeah, Ali Lenta says that they've been listening. Thank you for listening. Belinda recently lost her husband, and that's why she hasn't been on, and she's been dealing with a lot of stuff. Both and I have been backed off for a little bit because we've been sick. We do have a different slant than the others because Belinda had a daughter that's murdered, and both of us have been working search and rescue and working cases for many years, since 2010. Both of us have been doing this since 2010, and we're not out here to make money. This isn't about money for us. This is about justice. Belinda's one of my best friends, and I've had another friend who had her daughter go missing, Paige Johnson. Donna Johnson I grew up with her. this is not about money for us. This is not about getting likes or votes. I mean, yeah, we want people to like and share our channel so we can spread the word about child predation and have people watch your kids. You never know when your kid's going to be gone. Sorry. Anyway, um, give me a second. I apologize. Anyway, getting back to this case, thank you for saying that. No, we're not like other channels. We do care. We really care. And it's about justice for us. It's about getting these predators off the streets. That's the bottom line. No matter what happens, having seen the other side, God knows, and they will face their justice. And, you know, if that's what they choose, they want to go burn in hell, go for it. Anyway, we want justice for these girls and for their families. You can get answers, and God can give justice, and we can give some justice, but there's no justice like what God's going to give them in the end. You know, it was either Doug Carter or Tobe Lesenby said that my God is a God of justice. I think it was Tobe Lesenby. He is accurate. Accurate. Yeah, another murder case I worked on, Patsy Calloway. The way I saw her killer on the other side, I wrote 2 novels about it, but the way I saw her killer on the other side was he was digging through the rain, sifting through the rain, wishing he could take back what he'd done, and his veins were on fire, and it was raining, and he couldn't put the fire out. My tour with God, that's another topic for another day, but my journey through I wouldn't call it a near-death experience, but through seeing Christ, you know, I have seen Christ, and we had long discussions, and one of these days, Belinda and I are going to come on, and we're going to talk about those experiences. God is real, whether people choose to believe it or not. He is real. There is another side to all this, and we'll hit those discussions one day. Today's not that day. This is about these girls, and anyway, I think I'm good for now. Again, I'm going to get off here, but I thank you all for joining, for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Take care.